Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another video where I talk about levels and see whether or not I like them. And today, we're actually gonna do something a little bit different from our usual commentary videos. Because in today's video, we're gonna talk about layout levels and what I think works and doesn't work. Basically, we're just gonna have a simple discussion about the 1.0 layout styles and what I think works for this style and what I think doesn't work for it. Of course, I'm gonna use examples for each argument just to get that point across. Also, I'm talking about the aesthetics of these levels rather than the gameplay of them. Once again, these are my opinions, and if you don't agree with them, then more power to you. And since I'm talking about something negative today, might as well say don't send hate to the creators and levels that I chose as a bad example. Again, these are my opinions, nothing here is subjective, and I'm sure some of you actually like the ones I don't like. But anyways, with that out of the way, let's start the video starting with... Let's start on what I think doesn't work. I've been bothered by this style of layout levels for a while now, and it's when layout style levels are treated like design levels, or I guess more accurately, glow levels. I've always been bothered by this style of layout levels because instead of looking somewhat competent and finished, it just looks like the creator just kinda gave up halfway through the making process and just forgot to decorate the blocks. I know that's the point of this style, but it just doesn't look right to me. Like, here's the thing, there's a reason why we call levels that mainly uses 1.0 blocks layouts. It's like a sketch for a drawing. They're mainly, at least nowadays, used as like a skeleton for your levels that will be finished later on with block designs and decorations to make the level look good and competent. Removing the block design and opting for a 1.0 layout look makes the level look empty, bare bones, and overall just not that interesting to look at. Now, I'm not saying you can't make cool block designs using only 1.0 blocks, but usually these type of levels don't really do that, or at least the ones I've seen don't really do anything interesting. They just slap some glow and a simple custom background and call it a day. And for a game like Geometry Dash, which relies on creativity when it comes to level making, it kind of bumps me every time I see this type of levels because like, you're right there, just finish the block design and it'll look pretty good. And it's not like they're considered effect layouts either. The only effects they do most of the time are just posting colors and a custom background. Now, even though I've talked bad about layout style design levels, they do come with a pretty somewhat strong pro, which is the fact that usually layout style design levels have pretty good gameplay, and the example levels I will be mentioning later on have some pretty good reputation when it comes to the gameplay. And if you're the type of person who don't care about the visuals and only care about the gameplay, this might be a huge win for you. But for me, my statement is like, you can make good gameplay and still make the level look good and competent. I get Geometry Dash is a game and gameplay is what's most important in the game, but that doesn't really mean that visuals need to be left out and sacrificed for the sake of gameplay. Not saying these levels gave up the decoration for the gameplay, it just kind of feels like the creator did not intend for the level to look like a layout style level and just forgot to decorate the whole thing. It feels like they were rushed on a deadline, but they decided to not do anything about it. That's just how I feel about them. My examples for these type of levels are Essentia, Bliss, and Karma. Now, once again, I'm sure these levels have pretty good gameplay. While I can't really speak for Essentia or Karma since I haven't been in those levels, I actually had a fun time playing Bliss, and I have heard good things about Essentia and Karma's gameplay. But like, see, this is what I'm like saying. This is what I meant when I say these levels feel empty, bare bones, and not competent. It just feels like there's something missing in them. It feels like there was meant to be a pretty detailed block design put in the place of the layout blocks, like something in the style of Kyuki or maybe even an Alkali style block design would work. But no, this is what the level looks like. And instead of looking like a competent level, it just looks like they accidentally pressed upload when they were in the middle of making the level. The worst suspect in this me is Bliss. I thought it would be Essentia at first, but the only reason I was more mad about Essentia at first was because the song was too good for a level like this. Bliss looks so empty, it actually just kind of makes me mad. There are so many empty spaces that could just be filled there and there, and so many potential for the block design. It's just, I wish there was something more. While Karma and Essentia have the same problems as Bliss, they seem somewhat more competent, with them having slightly more detailed, well, as detailed as layout blocks can go in their block design. Especially Essentia, with it being a mega collab, which has benefits for looking slightly different for each part, and I mean slightly. But Essentia and Karma are still levels I'm not particularly a fan of, because once again they feel unfinished and not in a good way, as I think these levels have a lot more potential if they were just decorated properly. And actually, I'm gonna contradict myself here a bit and say that Essentia has a bigger wasted potential due to it being a mega collab, and instead of doing something really cool with what each members can do for the level, they instead just opted out for a layout style level, which just makes me feel more underwhelmed for the level. I know Bliss is a collab, but Essentia just bugs me even more. So yeah, in my opinion, a layout style level wouldn't work if it was treated like a design level, because instead of looking finished, it looks like it was accidentally uploaded or leaked to the public. Now let's get on what I think does work for a layout style level, and I think there are two ways to do it, but let's talk about the first one first. Now I know I've talked a lot in the what doesn't work segment about these levels looking unfinished, unpolished, and not competent. However, looking unfinished is not necessarily a bad thing if you can use it to your advantage and make something unique out of it. And the first style of layout levels I'm going to talk about utilizes its unfinished look really well, and is what I would call experimental levels. They're like effect layouts, but not really. The way I would explain what an experimental level is when the level has a pretty cool concept behind them, with the way certain things move, how certain effects look, etc. But they're not particularly decorated, thus giving this interesting look. Basically, if a proof of concept was a level. The reason why this works for me is because while yes, they're meant to look unfinished to a degree where you can argue that this was meant to be decorated later on, but due to the experimental nature these levels give off, it makes the level feel more special and gives it more charm. It makes you feel like you're witnessing the process of something great. It's like getting those phone cases that makes it look like you're looking inside of the phone components, or looking through the insides of a PC and see how the build is like, or it gives off the same feeling of listening to some rap songs by Earl Sweatshirt for the first time. I hope at least two of you get what I've said for the last thing. I have two levels that I believe fits what I'm trying to say here, Aleph Null and Amorphia. I think Aleph Null is the more popular example for what I'm going here, so let's start with that first. This is what I meant when the level feels experimental. Aleph Null looks like it was made to be something creative with how the level looks, with the unique movements and effects that the level has. But with how the level utilizes its layout slash 1.0 look, makes it more special, with how certain blocks pulse, that one part where the whole level process, even down to how the block rotates, which I have to say wasn't necessarily easy back then because no touch didn't exist in 2.1. And those default blocks can't rotate without no touch, so some of them actually had to be made by the creator themselves. It makes the level feel more grand rather than unpolished. Amorphia's case is somewhat the same with Aleph Null, but actually takes it up a step further by the way the level feels. The levels feel like it was in an industrial setting, like with how the blocks are used for the background and the fact that some of the blocks are made to look like gears in an industrial setting. Which makes the reveal of the boss fight feel so much cooler because it felt like you were rummaging through the factory that made the robot. So yeah, overall, layout style levels I think would work if the level gives off an experimental feeling to them. But that's not the only way a layout style level could work in my opinion. From what I just said, it seems like you need to make the level have a somewhat promising premise behind it so it can give off an unfinished look while still feeling intense. But this style of level is actually quite the opposite of it, and it's what I like to call the classics. This style of level is pretty simple. It just feels like the level was made back in like the 1.0 era if it had additional things like slopes and other game modes and sometimes even effects. The reason why I like these type of levels so much is because usually these levels have such a low-key feeling to them. Like they don't do all that much, but that's what I like about them. Sometimes less is just more. And they usually fit with the blocks too. Because let's be honest, the default blocks are just that. They're not particularly anything special. I'm not saying they can't be made into something more interesting, like I can name a few impossible levels that did some crazy stuff, and the shitty list makes literal masterpieces from time to time. But from a surface level, they're just kinda there. So seeing something so simplistic makes the level have a certain vibe to it and in a way feels nostalgic. And I think one level comes to mind for all of you. So let's sing it together, shall we?
Phineas and Ferb are dead!
Yeah, I absolutely love EXO. It's what I love about this style of level. There's nothing too crazy going on, the effects are subtle, the structuring is great, and the fact that the background is just grey just gives out that low-key feeling more. Now you may say that the reason why EXO works is because of the song representation. And yeah, I do agree that EXO's biggest strength is the song rep. But it still doesn't take away what I just said in my opinion. It still feels like it was a level made from 1.0. And it just has that right vibe to it, you know? But there is one more level that I consider fits the category of this style more, and that level is Every End. Also, a quick honorable mention to Dear Nostalgist. I forgot about this level until right now recording the voice lines for the video. And I can't be bothered to put it in the script because I want to get this video out. So yeah, another good example is Dear Nostalgist. I was debating on whether or not Every End fits this category more or experimental levels more, cause, you know, the background. But I decided to think it fits here more. I mean, from the premise itself, I already love it. It's a top 5 level that was meant to look accessible by having only one game mode, in 1x speed, and in the style of 1.0 levels. And the way it's executed is immaculate. The way it was structured is so unique, and with the difficulty as well, it actually feels like some BS Son would make back in the days. And even though the main draw to this level for most people is the background that foreshadows the next obstacles, I don't think it gives the intention away from the unique structuring of the actual level. So yeah, overall, in my opinion, layout levels works best if it either gives off some sort of experimental vibes to it, or they stick to something classic and not anything too crazy. And so those are what I think works and doesn't work for layout style levels. Well, that's the end of the video. Did you agree or disagree with my opinion? I know this is a bit different than my usual commentary, but maybe there's a style that you want me to talk about next. Let me know in the comments below and maybe I'll do it in another video. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe since I'm trying to hit 5k by the end of the year. Oh, and if you want to support me even further, you can buy a commission from me down at VGen, where you can commission a headshot, half body, full body, a banner, or a thumbnail. That's all I have for you today. I'll see you all later. Bye bye.